Hey guys, today is July 9th. It is Monday, and I am going to do the second part of the emotional and physical stress that I had endured. Now, some of it I did talk about in earlier videos, just touching base of what I went through with my stepdad that entailed probably a good solid 8 months uh, of being a caregiver basically and chauffeur for his medical needs. His body was his arteries were closing down, closing up because of the fat in his body or whatever was causing it. I don't exactly know that part of it. I know that when we have, well, anyway, I'm not even going to go into that and take the time up, but he was, yeah, his valves, his main arteries were clogging, and they would have to go in and do stents and balloons and whatnot. And anyway, so I ended up taking him every day, Monday through Friday, to a oxygen chamber treatment, which was about 4 hours long. And sometimes I would go do some things, but it was always a rush. And for me, it was easier for me just to sit there than to take off and try to rush everything in because my anxiety level would just go up. So the majority of the time I just sat in my truck, and there was times I did videos, some of my past videos in the truck while I was waiting. But you don't know how that really affects you until you've gone through it and you're looking back, or your body has done a shift during that and you're like, what the heck? And that's what happened with me. But a little bit more in depth of just taking him to the oxygen chamber. This guy was, I know he was in a lot of pain. I know he was tired. 4 years before he started plugging up, he battled throat cancer. He was no longer retired, medically retired for the heart issue. Then he was diagnosed with the cancer. So I took him there even. It was 45 treatments of radiation and once a week chemo for a couple hours, and it took its toll. But his mentality was much more depressed and just tired of battling everything. And he did a lot of it, he said, because of my mom. But I think it was because of him too. Um, but anyway, along with that, when we would get home from the oxygen chamber, I would have to wrap his feet, do wound care. And on one foot, he had like 15 sores. And on the other foot, it wasn't as bad, but it was getting there. He had like 3 or 4 black toes, like you hear about diabetics where they have to cut off the toes. The oxygen treatment actually kept him from losing anything, and he passed away in May, the middle of May, and he had just had one little more cap, top of a toe, left of all the sores that needed to come off, and then he passed away. But his body was clogging again, and the legs were starting to clog, the arteries in the legs, growing area. So anyway, along with the wound care, and the main reason why I was the one doing all this is because my mom, she couldn't handle him. He just is the type of person that would that goes on and repeats himself on and on. He's actually he the way he talked was almost like Eeyore on Winnie Pooh. I'm not kidding. And I did this because I knew my mom could not handle it emotionally. She almost had a breakdown as it was in the very beginning, just because he just couldn't. He was in so much pain and agony that he just was constantly telling her and stuff, and she couldn't help him. My mom's a nurturer, and so she was very frustrated. which this is why I stepped up and just did it. She tried to take him a few times for me because she saw I was tired, and it didn't work out. I finally just said, I'll just do it. And like I said, I learned through that process that I started comfort eating with ice cream, a Breyer's gelato, and it's junk. It's all junk. I didn't even look at the ingredients because I knew it tasted too good to be good. So, yeah, and that's not the only thing. Is when you're in a constant when you're on a constant stress load, your body protects itself, and cortisol levels shoot up. You're in a. I didn't always eat. My eating patterns were totally off, so therefore it put my body in a starvation mode. When I ate the ice cream, it started getting me some bad bacteria in my stomach again. I pretty much had my system cleansed and was eating really good. And I didn't, my change in my lifestyle 4 years ago was not something that I was dieting or, it was a lifestyle change and I was comfortable doing it. My wife and I, we enjoyed the foods. It wasn't anything that we didn't enjoy and that we weren't already shifting towards anyway. But yeah, once you start eating processed sugar, your cravings, everything kind of just gets enhanced. And when you're dealing with something emotionally, then you're like, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. And even though in the back of your mind, you're sabotaging your body, it's not about diet that you're sabotaging your diet. It's about sabotaging your body. And I just was at a point where I can only focus on just surviving every day. And that is the truth. You're talking to someone who is only good 4 or 5 hours a day on my feet. And let me tell you about my feet during that time. Getting in and out of my truck, unloading and loading a wheelchair. He was in the wheelchair for the first 8 weeks of those sores. Um, I just was I was just a robot. My pain levels were real high. I couldn't take pain medication because I had to drive and had to focus and be there for him. Um, so it was just a world of basically I just functioned every day. I got up, did my thing, went and got him, was there. I didn't get home till like 4 in the afternoon, and I left the house about. I had to pick him up at around 10:30. So you can see my day was full, and even though I was sitting in the truck, um, sitting for my feet also causes uh, pain and burning sensation. So it was basically a function of me being a robot and just being in an elevated level of stress. Now, when he passed away, of course, until we buried him, the stress from my mom, and I really took up upon myself to make sure I was there for her, being there for her. Now, my sister only lives cat corner on the other block from her. However, well, the first couple weeks after we buried him, my sister was in there with her a lot, and my nieces, and they were helping her rearrange the room and stuff because my mom just needed to get everything out of there so she did not have to see things and remember that stuff and what went on. So I'm that type of person too. So once that kind of eased off, it was my turn to step in, and then I did a project for her, and I think I might have even showed you guys some pictures or talked about it on the past video, but I made her a kind of like a cover for her ficus trees, but it wasn't a solid cover. So it was I did a wood frame and out from her house and basically did some lattice and some framing and stuff for her, and her plants love the area. So that was good. But it took me 2 weeks and I was there every day. And in the midst of that, just I'm an optimist. And when I'm around people that maybe are not necessarily pessimists, but they don't look beyond and they kind of look, they kind of have like a light gray cloud over them. They're not totally dark rain clouds over them, but they're in the grayish area. And that's where I was with my mom. And it was really hard for me to keep my natural optimistic persona um, with me without it being frustrated or getting stressed out because the responses being so against what I believe. And so I had to really learn to try to keep my mouth shut and not, and there was times I couldn't, there was times I said, why do you got to look at it that way? Why do you got to, and, so that again, that kept going on. And when I talk about in the past videos about a year, yeah, it's taken me a year to get through that. And in what has happened in the outcome of everything is that my pain levels are higher, so I don't feel like my mind is managing my pain as well as it used to. And I just I feel like I need to sleep. I need to just rest. And when I try to do that, I'm frustrated because I'm just laying around, and it's just I'm working against myself all the time. And you know, so emotionally, I haven't had a grip back into my old form. And in the midst of that, this weight started coming on, and not only that, I saw it, I felt it in my shorts. I had gotten down to 38 waist from a 44, and I went from extra large shirts to large shirts. And yeah, I'm back up to my large shirts. I'm not back up to my 44 shorts. I'm into 40s, but not 44. And all this body shift has really played a mental game with me. And I try to tell myself, let it go, ease off, this all will be taken care of as soon as you get everything else in sync. And that's what I want to share with you guys is this time trial that I went through with my stepdad was something that was not going to happen forever, and that's why I called it time. But it was something that I put everything into and came out very exhausted. And I was texting a buddy of mine, Caleb, and Sir Caleb. Some of you know him out there. And he really did help me to, even though you know the words, having it said by someone else on the outside gives you comfort, and it gives you, yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. And I have done nothing but beat myself up over how I've allowed my body to get out of hand weight-wise and fat-wise. I had the revision a year. I think it's been 2 years, almost 2 years this October. The revision did not help. It did not solve anything. My chest is back to looking the way it was. Part of it could be the weight. I do have a balloon under this arm, and I have shown pictures of it. But the problem now is when she pulled the skin down, because she told me I didn't have a lot of fat, that I just have a lot of inflammation in there. And I'm like, okay. So when she pulled the skin down, she kind of lowered my nipple. Now, you may not be able to see it right on site, but I can see it. And when you can see it on your body, it makes a difference, no matter what anybody else has said. But not only that, I'll show you here. But you can see where it's, yeah. I'm just making sure I got the right one. It's got to be repaired right here somewhere. It pulls right here like this. So I'm like, wow. Now I was going to the gym and trying to build the pectoralis muscles up in that area to see if I can bring all this up to the front here. And then Tony came off work and my whole schedule. But let's just do a little bit more. I'm on 14 minutes. Not just dealing with that, but we're still dealing with Tony's cancer. Now, Tony is cancer-free thus far, and it's been 3 years. But the medication she has to take, her whole body hurts all the time. She's broke her foot the same foot back to back with 2 different times. When she came out of the boot, she wasn't out of it for a week and it broke again. And the doctor said the break is something that she did not do to break it. It's the way her bones are with this medication. And I'm just like, I just feel for her because there's times she cries. So not only had I dealt with that, I'm trying to be strong for my wife and trying to be understanding and just let her talk. And I know she comes to me for comfort. And, she's just, she's ballooned. She's gained about 20 pounds herself and she's miserable. And so we're starting to do this shift. I'm okay helping somebody else. Like I told her, this is something you're going to have to accept while you're on this medication, and it could be up to 10 years she's going to be on this medication, and understand that things are not the way they used to be for her. And it's taken a toll. It hasn't taken a toll on our relationship, but it has taken a toll on being able to ignite and release stress together. And so that's something that I understand, that's something that she understands, and that's something that's not forced or expected. You just take it one day at a time. We celebrated 21 years together this May, and she still is everything to me that she ever was on day one. But, there's a lot of things that can affect us emotionally. I know that I am the keeper. I am used to taking care of things. I'm used to being the fixer, and I understand that. And so with that, there's sometimes that my emotional being takes a little stabbing to, and I have to learn how to channel that a different way. So that's where I am now. Tony and I have really decided this past weekend that we are going to shift over. She's gone to a different school district. She's not going to be gone 35 miles away one way. She's only going to be gone 3 miles away from our house now. She's really looking forward to it. She's had some bad administration for the last 5 years that she kept going back because she felt like she was there for the kids, but found that she just can't do that anymore and be that support. And so things are turning around for that in that area for her. So, and I'm doing the shift. I understand what I went through, why I went through it. I put myself there. I'm accountable for what I put in my mouth. I understand now that sugar, refined sugar, processed sugar, is a drug to me. And I have to understand when I consume it just one time, it's not going to happen just one time. So I may not be an alcoholic, I may not be a drug addict, but I am a sugarholic. And so I understand that now. I understand people call it comfort eating. I think there's a difference with comfort eating because Southern fried chicken is comfort food. Mashed potatoes and gravy are comfort food. But people do not overeat those things constantly. It's sugar that they usually do, and alcohol they usually do, and drugs they usually do. So I understand that I am a sugarholic. And with that, I'm taking it one day at a time and cleansing myself, replacing the processed sugar with whole, raw, organic sugars, and to get my body into its natural set point so that I will start burning the stored fat. You can diet all you want, but if your body's not in a burning mode, it's not going to burn the fat. You're probably going to lose muscle because a lot of people diets, they restrict themselves. So 20 minutes into this, I think I might just do a third one just to finish it off, because I can't go into all the now where I am and where I'm going. I've just kind of touched bases that I'm doing a shift, but I want to explain that shift to you and what it means to be able to be ready to do it, to know what you need to do. Most of us all do, but to be ready to do that is a different story. So you guys take it one day at a time. Always make your journey as simple as possible, and I'll get back to you.